This episode of the ZuLoo Poodcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.
I mean, did they have like aircraft carrier plungers, like fancy military plungers, military grade?
I picked this up the other day.
Did you get this from an aircraft carrier?
No. This is
not military grade.
Yeah.
I'm holding it here. I should hold it up here.
It's brand new.
But it's brand new. I haven't used it yet.
Brand
so once it's been used,
This does not leave your house once it's been used.
Oh gosh, he licked it.
Don't do that.
He licked it.
Welcome to the ZuLoo Poodcast, where we talk all things poop, toilets, and sanitation. Through insightful news, impact stories, and quirky humour, we aim to discuss and highlight the critical role toilets play in whisking poop out of our lives, the impact toilets have, or lack thereof, in the health and wellness of humanity, and what ZuLoo is doing to help solve the current global sanitation crisis.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the ZuLoo Poodcast. We're excited to chat with you. Have you listened in for another week of awesome poo news and
you
fun
got your
stories
beautiful yellow.
ZuLoo
ZuLoo
yellow.
yellow.
ZuLoo yellow.
This is like
Bringing
the
the
hottest
sunshine.
sweater this Christmas season.
That's
ZuLoo
right.
yellow. You can pick it up where?
At Banana Republic,
Banana
actually.
Republic, of
Yeah.
course.
When's our partnership happening with them? We can
Yeah,
get
did
little,
you hear that, BR?
know,
We're ready.
Banana
We're
Republic.
ready.
Yeah, we want
Yeah.
to do the retro banana look, and this is
It's-
one of those where
Mhm,
you got
mhm.
the banana yellow. It's not really a banana yellow, but it's a
I mean, what would
cheerful,
you call this? It is
cheerful
like
yellow,
Curious George yellow, man in the yellow hat.
sunny yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
for the
very
holiday
happy.
season.
It's making me very happy.
So it
Cheer
kind of
you
matches
guys
our
up.
new stickers. If you haven't seen our stickers,
Yes, yeah. Let me hold one up.
If you,
Let's see. Oh, that is right on.
It is right on,
Nice.
Jocelyn.
you should just
Nailed it.
sew one on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Just peel it off.
Right
Stick
here.
it. You know what?
Peel
Let
it
me
and
help
stick
you.
it.
Let me help you out with that here. Here you go, Jocelyn.
Here, I'll stick it
Just
right
stick
on
it
my
on there.
shoulder.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then
That's right.
hopefully the camera can see it.
There you go.
Gorgeous. Love it.
Official ZuLoo
Swag.
fashion
Badge.
swag.
Tag.
Now, when you're
Okay.
walking around, people can just scan your QR code,
Yeah.
go right to the podcast.
Mhm.
They don't have to talk to you like. Okay, scan.
Yeah.
Eliminates all need for small talk. Look at
Walking
that.
my-
What's Zulu about? Just point.
Just right here.
Just scan it. All right. I don't have time to talk to you. Go. It's all right there.
I'm famous. I'm on the ZuLoo
That's
Podcast.
right. Well, you haven't seen me before?
Love it. Well, this week, folks, we had a special treat. Darren and I got to sit down with Kassie Morton from the Nature Conservancy, and she just blew our minds with
Yeah.
her fascinating wealth of knowledge, really. I mean, we can't wait to have her on the show again because she just had so much good stuff to share. So excited for you to listen to that today. Excited for
And
us
she
to
lives
revisit
up in the
that.
beautiful Northwest
She sure
Seattle
does.
area, which is fantastic. When you're talking about nature, I mean, what a better place to be, right?
Really. Yeah, you can tell that they truly care about.
Yeah. They
keeping
walk the
their-
walk. They walk the talk the walk. Whatever that
That's
means.
right. I love it. Well, but before we listen to Cassie's interview, Darren, what's in the poo news?
Poo news. There's so much in the poo news. I just can't choose sometimes, and I just spend all day flipping a coin, which is going to be. So we talked about a few episodes ago. Airplane toilets going down. It's got to be a major issue, right? When that happens, what if the toilet on an aircraft carrier goes down? What are you going to do there?
I mean, you got those bags, but yikes.
I guess you can always throw it overboard, right?
Yeah, I was going to say you hang on to a rail.
Yes.
But in the
Stick your
Navy,
tush out.
on board ships, hygiene is super critical, right? 'Cause,
Yeah,
you get a
yeah.
little, people get sick on the ship. It's kind of like its own little
Mhm.
planet, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so toilets, super important that they keep working. Guess how much it costs to fix one?
An aircraft carrier toilet.
Yeah. I mean, think of an aircraft carrier is like billions of dollars, right? So what if one clogs? What is it?
Oh gosh. I mean, did they have like aircraft carrier plungers? Like fancy military
specifically
plungers,
made-
Speaking of
military
plungers.
grade.
I picked
Yeah.
this up the other day.
Did you get this from an aircraft carrier?
No. This is
not military grade.
Yeah.
I'm holding it here. I should hold it up here.
It's brand new.
But it's brand new. I haven't used it yet. So once it's been used,
This does not leave your house once it's been used.
Oh gosh, you licked it.
Don't do that.
You licked it.
I pretended to.
Okay.
This is that's licking. But no, kids don't try this at home. But yeah, this is has nothing to do with aircraft carriers. You probably couldn't
unclog an aircraft carrier toilet with that.
All the aircraft carrier, they're all hydraulic, right? Very high suction, like an airplane toilet. So, this isn't going to do you.
Okay, my guess is 2 million.
Oh gosh,
I know.
Just to unclog a toilet.
No, I mean to fix it. I'm imagining worst possible.
Yeah, how bad is this break?
Almost $400,000.
Oh, I wasn't close.
To if a system, like if you're throwing your, all your tampons down the aircraft carrier toilet, you might get a $400,000 fix-it bill.
Wow, one more reason to use a Pixie cup.
One more reason.
Yeah. So it's something that's really critical to keep going. But most, how many sailors, men and women, all types, are on an aircraft carrier? How many people?
I have no idea.
I guess the last number, so you're right.
It's kind of like Snap-Hole. Go.
I'm thinking of like Top Gun and how many people were on the ship. I don't know, like 1,500?
Okay.
I was going to say 1,000, so.
Higher?
2,500?
You want to go higher?
Are you asking me if I want to go higher, or you're telling me I should?
Are you going to stop? Are you going to hold where you're at?
I'm going to hold.
Because we have a ZuLoo Poodcast sticker for the winner.
Oh,
hey, man.
You already got one.
I want to be like Jocelyn, so I'm hoping I'm winning.
Okay. 400,000, or I'm sorry, 4,000 sailors on
4,000. That's a lot.
That's a lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. And typically there is around 400. Well, they said on the Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, all of which are gender neutral, by the way. There's no
his and hers bathrooms. Yeah,
you're a sailor. Use a toilet. 432 toilets on board.
432 toilets for 4,000 people.
Yeah. So that's what?
Don't ask me math
Is that
questions.
10 per toilet? 10 a toilet per 10 people.
Yeah.
Roughly. Right?
Oh, that's not
pretty
bad.
good.
It's not terrible.
You probably don't have to
better than an airplane.
Yeah. You probably don't have to stand in line. You don't have the all the women sailors standing in line.
Really? Yeah.
And no. Well, the guys probably just go over the side.
But still, you got to share with guys. Do they have urinals in there, or just the?
Yeah, but they
actually don't.
Okay,
they don't have. They do not
because they're all gender neutral.
They don't have urinals on an aircraft carrier. They're all toilets. And so,
your consolation is that they're sailors. They're trained in the Navy. They are
precise.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
They are
very good at aiming.
Yeah, they don't miss.
That's right. Navy always
hit their targets.
Probably a requirement that they sit down every time.
It's part of the test.
That's right. Yeah. So when you're signing up for the Navy, you're probably going to leave a little bit of privacy behind.
Yeah.
A little
Learn
bit
to
of,
pee sitting down.
A little bit of luxury. A little bit of, it's all in the name of.
Say goodbye to your bar urinals.
Maybe in the captain's quarters, he's got one.
Maybe he's got a bar urinal
in the corner. But anyway, just some fun facts about your aircraft carrier. And our next article is Jocelyn, this is kind of your alley because I know you're an RV enthusiast. Want to live in an RV driving across the country.
Yes, I do.
These are some tips on how to keep it clean. Because, it's kind of like an aircraft carrier. If your toilet goes out while you're out RVing, right? Oh, it kind of defeats the whole.
Yikes.
That would take the fun out of it.
Independent, you got to go to a gas station.
You're not as off the grid if you're having to find a toilet.
You want to do your own thing in the back.
Mm-hmm.
One tip is always refill the bowl with water in it. Don't let it just go dry because I guess there's a ring in there that could dry out, right?
Oh.
So keep a little water in there.
So do you have to pour? I mean, for someone who wants to do this, I know very little. So do you have to pour that in, or does it automatically refill?
There's a lever or button you press that will fill.
So it will fill.
Kind of fills the water.
Yeah.
Kind of like a boat toilet, You turn it on and it fills it. It says use the sprayer. I guess some of them have like a little sprayer hose that you can clean yourself and then
like a little bidet kind of
like a little bidet thing. I don't know if all of them have it, but
I've seen them when they're like, your RV bathroom has a shower insert right next to the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
Some even have the toilet inside the shower space.
Yeah, it depends on how big your unit is, right?
And so that little sprayer is your
multi.
Is your shower?
Is your shower? Yeah.
You can multi-purpose.
You can spray it up. You can spray it down.
Yeah, Jocelyn, how rough are you going to be out there? Is it just going to be? I see you being more of a glamping kind of super fancy RV with the bus.
In my fantasy, I'm a slightly more rugged version of who I am right now. And I can totally take it. I'm up for whatever. Yeah. In reality, especially with little kids, I think that just the having to do the toilet stuff every day, it would take some adjustment.
Yeah.
And I don't know everything that's involved, but I think it sounds
so amazing. This article is for you.
Okay.
You can take notes, or you can look at the podcast show notes.
Yes.
And check it out. Use car wax for the bowl, because apparently most of these RV toilets are plastic, and it could stain, or things could get stuck to it a lot easier than a porcelain bowl. And so people use car wax.
Keep things clean, moving.
Keep it smooth,
okay.
Keep it slick.
Very interesting.
That's a genius idea.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see, what else? Avoid bleach. Apparently that will...
Like corrodes the plastic.
I guess they keep talking about the ball valve seal. The ball valve seal, that's your barrier between you and disaster, because on the other side of the ball valve seal is...
breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the last week.
Is your septic tank, which is where all your stuff goes. Right?
Yeah.
So
you got to keep that thing in tip-top shape.
Yeah, you want to keep that ball valve seal healthy, right? And bleach is one of the things that damages it. People don't know that. They just clean it like a normal toilet.
Yeah.
Which is kind of when we were at Paul Labs, they were talking about eliminating that whole thing altogether, just burning the stuff and vaping out some carbon. That's it. That's their ultimate goal. But watch out for leaks. Okay. And winterize the toilet. Don't just let all that stuff sit there in freezing weather, because, the stuff freezes, it expands, and, come springtime, when you jump in the RV to go to Yellowstone,
yikes!
You might be in for a stinky mess.
I mean, the fantasy is to just never let the RV be in the winter. You are just constantly chasing the sun.
Yeah. There you go. You're just running south to Mexico.
Yes.
Anyway, these are some camper smart tips for you RV people, or want to be
right
here.
Someday. And I will. Anyway. The car wax idea, I'm going to remember that one, because that seems like a really good idea.
Yeah. And so, and our guest is probably, I don't know, maybe in the Northwest. They do a lot of RVing up there, right?
Yeah, she probably knows all about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she certainly does know a lot about
all
the different, a lot about all the different ways to make the most of your toilet experience. So without further ado, we'll just hop right in and enjoy her interview. Well, Kassie, welcome to the ZuLoo Poodcast. We are just so delighted to be able to have this conversation with you. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Well, I would love it if you would start out and give our audience a little bit of background. What is the Nature Conservancy? What do you do for them? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much for inviting me to speak with you today. I'm Kassie Morton, a project manager with the Nature Conservancy. I started working on the topic of ocean sewage pollution about 2 years ago, developing an awareness campaign, and I've become all consumed with the issue of the global sanitation crisis and its intersection with the work TNC is doing to protect nature. And to the point where I only read in my personal time sanitation and wastewater related content. And there's just so many fascinating science journalists covering this space right now, including ZuLoo. So thanks again for having me. I'm such a sewage pollution nerd that this topic is really taken over my conversations at happy hours and family gatherings. And It's just such an interesting space and interesting to observe how people respond. Some people dive right in and want to know more and have their own stories, and some are pretty squeamish. And there's really clearly some taboo around talking about poop and pee. Even my 9-year-old son, who says poop and fart 100 times a day, when I start talking about my work and resource recovery and drinking purified pea water or baking with field-derived from poop, he is so grossed out. So we have a lot of work to do, and that's part of my job at the Nature Conservancy, is to just create awareness about the issue of the global sanitation crisis and how it touches down in nature.
That's awesome. So you haven't been kicked out of many dinner parties yet, or is that a
Not yet. I'm actually always pretty surprised how people lean in. People have their own stories to tell. And even like my physical therapist had a story. She's a deep water swimmer. So she gets together with a group of people and no wetsuit, swims in 50-degree freezing cold Puget Sound water. And it's amazing, the story she has to tell about her encounters with raw sewage leaking from our local sewage system, and sometimes they're kind of the first to find it even. So anyway, lots of stories.
It is definitely reminding me, I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan, but there is an episode of Seinfeld where Kramer decides he wants to become a swimmer in the Hudson, right? And so he starts swimming laps in the Hudson, and it's just, everybody gives him grief about it because of like that stereotype that, yeah, okay, you're in a dirty river, we leak our sewage there, and you're gonna run into it, and it's gonna be gross and stinky. And I just think often about how tragic it is in our modern world in these very developed areas, how that is still a problem that we run into. Because, I don't know, are we lacking innovation? Are we lacking resources? And I would love to know, Kassie, from your perspective, why is that? Why are we still finding raw sewage in the ocean, especially in areas surrounding where we live?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the answer is different based on where you live. It's really very regionally complex. So where I live on Bainbridge Island, which I should say I'm speaking to you from the traditional Suquamish tribal lands near the Puget Sound. And where we are, not far away, just 30-minute boat ride to Seattle, their wastewater treatment facility is quite antiquated. So anytime there's heavy rains or combined sewage overflow, the sewage just leaks right out into the water. It bypasses the wastewater treatment facility. And that's become a real issue. The tribe actually sued King County over it because that's part of it's impacting their traditional fishing grounds and their economy. So the mitigation will require upgrades to that wastewater treatment facility. But on Bainbridge Island, where I live, we have an issue with several raw sewage leaks annually due to ruptured sewer pipes and our own antiquated wastewater treatment system. And it doesn't hold up to power outages and heavy rains. I just learned this year that our wastewater goes out only partially treated on the regular due to the intermittent power outages that we have, meaning the solids are separated up. The liquids go directly into the nearest wetland. And on a good day, the liquids get some UV treatment, but when it doesn't, those pathogens and pharmaceuticals and things go right out into our water. So that's kind of the picture in my region. Just a lot of old infrastructure, which is the case for a lot of the U.S. And especially Europe. They're in the news quite a bit for big sewage leaks. But there's in some parts of the world, it's open defecation. There just isn't a planned sewage system or infrastructure to accommodate treatment. So there's all kinds of different ways that this is getting out into the environment. Climate change plays another big role in that. Sewer systems are typically tied to the stormwater system. So every time there's more intense rains, which will just get worse with climate change in a lot of areas, that flushes the untreated sewage out into the water.
Yeah, we just came back from Nigeria. We were at the World Toilet Summit there, and as far as open defecation, I think they've. India still is number one by sheer number of people, but as far as on a per capita basis, Nigeria is now, unfortunately, the number one open defecation country, and we saw it there firsthand. Just there is no. You talk about infrastructure. There is none, and so what do you expect when you've got 200 million people going out in the open, and not that many? I think it's around, I want to say around 20% of the population, but still, it's a significant number. You're going to have that runoff, and as far as the U.S. goes. What do you see? I know you're talking about them upgrading the facilities on Bainbridge Island, maybe in Seattle as well. Is that a priority in most places that you're seeing, or is it still sort of we wait for the problem before we address it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the latter. It takes lawsuits and a lot of or really true huge failures where you can't avoid fixing hundreds of gallons, millions of gallons of sewage going into your water bodies. But and that's part of the work that we're doing, is to be creating awareness. So I guess maybe I'll go back to talking about the Nature Conservancy a little bit. I told you about myself, but TNC is a global environmental nonprofit dedicated to creating a world where people and nature thrive. We have a chapter in every U.S. state and over 70 country programs, and we're emerging as a leader in conservation on the issue of wastewater pollution through building awareness and a coalition of supporters and addressing the environmental impacts. And our interest in the global sanitation space is focused on the impact wastewater pollution has on aquatic ecosystems. Because if you're interested in protecting marine and freshwater species and their habitats, you have to be thinking about water quality. And if you're thinking about water quality, you really need to be thinking about the risk of wastewater pollution, because it is an issue not just in low-income countries, but in everywhere in our country, especially in the coasts. And each year, more research shows the impacts that this has on aquatic environments and how the protection and restoration work that the Nature Conservancy does in places like wetlands and coral reefs and mangroves often can't be successful until we stop the flow of untreated or undertreated wastewater. So when we're thinking about developing or improving sanitation systems, we also really need to look beyond the toilet, because we need to prevent what's being flushed from polluting our drinking water and our environment. And that includes working with your local decision makers and policymakers. And it's no small task, and it really takes a village. And speaking of which, so my team helped co-found and launch the Ocean Sewage Alliance in 2021, and you recently interviewed Chris Clapp, their executive director. So my team and OSA's amazing steering committee brought together 20 partners working across sectors to address wastewater pollution, because it's going to take all of us to solve this problem. And OSA represents conservation NGOs and academia and behavioral science and the public health sector. And all the sectors engaged in solving the issue, none can solve it alone. So its impacts on human health and the environment and the economy, it's really a complex problem. And it'll take all of us working together and across sectors.
What's amazing is the level of collaboration and just innovative thinking that gets to come together to think of solutions. I think so often in less developed countries, maybe the idea that a flush and plumb system, a toilet that can flush material waste away, is the end all be all. But then when we look at developed countries, we have to think, okay, but there's still sort of this cyclical issue, right? We have a new issue, which is that the wastewater that we are flushing away, that's no longer a local problem necessarily affecting our daily lives, definitely leads into these other arenas, right? Like our local ecosystems, like tribal lands, like you've mentioned, and creates all these other issues. So maybe the flush and plumb system is not the end all be all. What are more innovative ways that we can find to improve wastewater, improve our, local ecosystems, and continue to build in a way that's improving rather than just saying, okay, we've like done it all. I don't know. That came to mind. I know it's a little tangential. But I love that, OSHA is doing that, and that the Nature Conservancy is like eyes focused toward, okay, how can we reinvent this, right? Sort of this like turn of a new invention of the toilet, a turn of focus. And looked like you were going to say something, Kassie, so I apologize. I'm just going to ramble on still.
No, that you bring up a really great point, and something that we get, all the things to talk about, so excited about are the solutions. And we really appreciate the ZuLoo message that the sanitation crisis is solvable. There are exciting solutions at the intersection of protecting nature and human health, from technology and capacity upgrades to older failing treatment infrastructure, but also really neat alternatives too, like some of our partners with the Ocean Sewage Alliance. We know you folks at ZuLoo love to talk about toilets, so wanted to bring up a couple of really cool things that maybe you and your audience are already familiar with. But one that I wasn't until recently was the Cinderella incinerating toilet that's being used in Hawaii as an alternative to cesspools, because the cesspool issue there is a big one. But it doesn't require water. You press a button and the liquids and solids burn up, and there you go. There's also some commercial scale composting toilets. Like here in Seattle, we have something called the Bullet Center that was a green building and like whole system building that I think they're 15 or 20 years old at this point, but they're one of the first larger scale commercial composting toilet installs. And they have lessons learned, of course, and that technology is definitely improving, but there's all kinds of really interesting alternatives out there, like the use of nature-based solutions and green infrastructure. That's something the Nature Conservancy is really interested in researching and looking at real-world installations. But there's like constructed wetlands and bivalve filtration that can help ease the burden of gray infrastructure. So I think we're finding that a little of both in places with larger populations are ideal. But as with some of your previous guests, we're also really intrigued by resource recovery. And it turns out feces and urine are really surprisingly very valuable resources. And there's so many solutions that already exist to manage wastewater better in that vein of thinking. And when we put it to good use, the poop of 1 billion people could power up to 18 million households every year. And there's technology already in use that helps communities recycle their wastewater into drinking water. This is happening internationally in Israel and Singapore, and here in the US in Orange County, California. And I always love talking about the breweries that are using this technology. New Brew in Singapore, and even Full Circle here in the US in San Diego is using recovered water to brew beer. So I think, for the larger populations, ultimately to integrate resource recovery as we're putting funding and all of these resources into upgrading this antiquated system. I think ideally, if we can also incorporate the recapture of the nutrients in our poop and the liquid from our pee to recycle it, that would be a win-win in all directions. Keep it out of our water and use the resource.
Yeah, every time you say poop and pee, I think your 9-year-old is going to be like, yes, this is my mom speaking. And I want to take her to school and show her off at, on career day, right?
Oh my gosh, she'd be mortified. As much as he'll have a gaggle of little boys over and they'll run. I mean, the amount of times I hear the words poop, pee, fart. And then the minute I start talking about this topic, he's just like, ew.
Oh. It's like there's an age thing where it becomes like not okay anymore, right? It's like, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, as far as on your point, as far as what do things look like in the future? I think, we're super excited at ZuLoo, some of these emerging technologies, especially when if we rethink our Victorian ideals of using water to flush the poop and pee away, it's like, oh, look, there's other alternatives to where you don't even have to involve water, or maybe a very little amount of water, or maybe using the water that the person puts into the system to recycle and use. And so I know, the technology is there. I think it's a matter of, like what you're saying, how do you scale it? How do you implement it in our society where we're used to a flush and plumbed world, right? And so, hopefully we'll be able to get ahead of the curve, right?
That's the idea. And again, so much exciting research and reporting going on in this space. And when the Ocean Sewage Alliance was launched, we were just so pleasantly surprised and amazed to see all of the people the organizations coming out of the woodwork saying, like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I'm working on, and let's collaborate. One of my favorites, I have a lot of favorites. We have 28 partners and they're all wonderful in their own way. But one that's extra fascinating for me is the Rich Earth Institute. I'm not sure if you've spoken to anyone yet from the Institute, but they're really focused on urine recycling, both on a bit larger scale for farming use. And I just sat in on a little webinar they did about recycling urine in your household to use in your own garden. And there's, so many different levels of addressing this to use the good resource and, again, keep it out of our waterways.
And that's sort of the ideal, right? Is being able to be self-sustaining in this way. I mean, I think that is definitely the future of a lot of industries, but most particularly of the wash sector is, okay, how can we be self-sustaining either on an individual scale, each household, or on a more regional scale? How can our counties, how can our states, how can our small parts of the country learn to be a little bit more self-sustaining in reusable energy and recycling in all these different areas? And waste treatment is, like you're saying, Kassie, just fascinating to think of the amount of potential that's there. And I'm just so thankful for all the people who are making that happen. I mean, it feels icky to like, oh, what? But that's just that initial reaction that we all have to kind of get over. And education is that bridge, right? As we learn a little bit more, become a little bit more comfortable with it, and our worldview just expands into different possibilities. And it seems like that's been something that's really important to you since you've started this 2 years ago, is that expansion of awareness and knowledge. I'm curious where you would tell somebody who's just a newbie in this area to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think exactly to your point of creating awareness and just talking about it to break the taboo of the ickiness around resource recycling or recovery, and just to create some awareness too about the global sanitation crisis touching down on humans and nature. And I think when you can drive home that, one, it impacts human health, different places more than others, but everywhere it impacts nature. When our poop and pee go directly out into your, if you're on vacationing in Maui and you're realizing like, oh my gosh, there's 88,000 cesspools, leaking untreated sewage out into this water. My children are swimming, and just like driving it home and making it personal and understanding the repercussions. Approximately 80% of the world's wastewater is discharged untreated. And for the wastewater that is treated, most systems are outdated. And that is really, this means pollutants like pathogens and pharmaceuticals and endocrine disruptors and excess nutrients go right into our surface waters and underground drinking water. And these pollutants create really serious negative impacts to the marine and aquatic ecosystems and human health too. But I think what a lot of people don't realize, I think it's understandable because the global sanitation crisis is something I think that's been talked about for decades and decades, but we're really just starting to understand the impacts to ecosystems. And the excess nutrients from human waste can create these toxic algal blooms that kill fish and make people sick, and they impact fishing and tourism, and on and on. And this nutrient pollution from our waste kills off seagrass meadows and mangrove forests, and compromises oysters and coral reefs. And scientists have even traced the origins of a coral-killing pathogen to human sewage. We understand that climate change has impacted coral health for a while, but it turns out human waste can be just as much of a threat. And without reefs that act as fish nurseries, there's less fish to feed the growing population. And it's just really important to build awareness around kind of the whole system picture of what's going on with the global sanitation crisis. But if you're thinking about what can I do today, like right now, what could I do to help prevent sewage leaks in my community? You can avoid flushing disposable wipes and dumping grease down your sink. Both are big no-nos and can create sewer blockages and cause those sewage leaks. You can reduce your water usage, especially when it's raining, which seems like a small thing, but to reduce the burden on the wastewater treatment systems during big storms, every little bit helps. You could check out the Surfrider Foundation. They're another OSA partner that we adore. They have really neat volunteer opportunities, and there might be one near you. They coordinate some cool citizen science water quality testing activities. And you can learn about how your community manages their wastewater. And if you're concerned, talk to your local decision maker or public health official to advocate for infrastructure improvements and break the taboo. Just keep talking about it. I will say one more thing. If wastewater pollution is a hurdle in your work or your organization's mission, please contact us. And the Ocean Sewage Alliance is well. We have so many great resources in our Knowledge Hub, which I think, Darren, you had said you'd done a bit of a deep dive. It's easy to get lost in there. There's so many just fascinating resources to look through, from tailored briefs that talk to specific audiences and case studies and trainings and communications. So all kinds of really great resources. You can go to oceansewagealliance.org to check out that Knowledge Hub. Also, the Reef Resilience Network, which is related to TNC, developed a wastewater pollution online course that's just self-paced, and that can be found at reefresilience.org. And then the Nature Conservancy will be launching our own little podcast in 2023 on this topic. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, I love it. You are just a treasure trove of resources. Absolutely the best. And we'll link all of those in our show notes. So Kassie, if you'll send those to me, we'll link them to make sure that people just have the easiest access to, getting educated and learning about all of these important things. Kassie, thank you so much for joining us today on the ZuLoo Poodcast. We'd love to have you back. Maybe we can take a deeper dive into a more specific area. We'd love to pick your brain a little bit more about your vast knowledge in this space. And I know that our audience will really appreciate that as well. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. It was great talking with both of you. And I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Kassie. You as
Thank
well.
you
We'll
so
be in
much.
touch. Okay, Kassie is, what did I say? What is it? She's
Smart, very
so
smart, very smart.
intelligent.
I'm grateful there's people like that out there that know what they're talking about. We sort of like play around like we know what we're talking about. But they and like we were talking about Chris Clapp the other day. I mean, the Ocean Sewage Alliance, the Nature Conservancy, these guys or gals are super intelligent, and I'm glad that they're on the cusp of some of these emerging, because it is an environmental issue, right? Yeah. If you care about the environment, you got to care about sanitation. You got to care about sanitation because it's a big deal.
And it is reassuring. Like sometimes it feels like there's only so much I can do, like in my life with my circumstances and everything I'm, being a mom, being a professional, whatever. Right. It's like, oh, good. There are people that are on the front lines, making things happen, creating change. And it's like, okay, good. We've got some good guys on the front.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's so inspiring to me about Kassie is that this wasn't like her chosen profession. She wasn't, like I graduated from college and I knew this was my path. She's just a grassroots learner. She, started really small, reading literature, little by little, just becoming more and more aware to really all the different faces that appear in the sanitation crisis and how to manage all of those things. And now this is truly a passion for her. And it's, I love at the start of our chat when she's just like, I talk to everybody about it. My 9-year-old's embarrassed all the time. For somebody who loves to talk about poop, he hates it when I talk about it. Because you can tell, once somebody starts to talk about something in their day-to-day with strangers, with people that they know,
Right.
You know that they're the ones that are really going to make such a large impact. And Cassie's one of those people. So I can't wait to have more discussions with her and learn so much more.
When they're doing so much to educate the public, educate policymakers about, hey, here are some solutions that are going to impact, not just the short term, but the long term, as all of our infrastructure ages and we look for other solutions to, instead of using water, using other methods to, take care of business. Right. So, super smart, super great.
Yeah. We talked also, about, we always like to ask our guests, right? What's the future look like from your perspective? And Kassie was great at saying, there's so many independent thinkers out there that are thinking innovatively about different solutions. And we get to highlight so many of those here on the ZuLoo Poodcast. And one I think that we wanted to chat about a little bit tonight was this travel bidet. You have an experience with that. Oh,
yes. I wanted to return and report on the
That's right.
Amigo bidet. I think we have a podcast a few months ago. We talked about these, and I had the opportunity to take mine. This is mine. And it's inside this little bag. It's clean, by the way. So I'm just saying.
Excellent. Okay.
I'm not going to lick it.
How clean is it?
How clean is it? Well, probably cleaner than my cell phone.
It's really cute. It kind of looks like it is really like cute. A mug or something you would
totally.
So Amigo has the little cool bag, and I just threw this in my backpack, and it's pretty cool. I basically open it up like a thermos, and you just fill it up with water before you go in. Like at the sink.
Yeah,
I use hot water.
Smart. You're thinking about yourself.
Not too hot, but
but not ice cold.
That'll wake you up.
So then, then I, you hit this and it pops up, and then you invert it like this and you squeeze and it shoots this water and it did a good job. I thought, although I do need some practice, because what I realized is that I'm not 100% sit downer. I'm a little bit of a hoverer.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. I do sit up a little bit, especially when I'm trying to use something like this. And
you'd almost have to.
But the problem with that is some of the water, instead of just going straight down, it just kind of went down my leg. So I was a little bit like, okay, I need to practice, because the water.
You don't want to wear your khakis the first time you're trying this out.
I had khakis on.
What was the water pressure like? Was it enough? Did you feel like it was actually doing some deep cleaning?
Yeah, I think it did. It did. I mean, it wasn't similar to like a regular built-in bidet where you just sit there and let it do all the cleaning, right? But you get enough water back there to where then you use some toilet paper, and it just, one or two passes and you're pretty clean. You're clean, right?
Cool.
Super clean. Which is important, because when I don't have one of these, it's, I might go through a whole roll. Still not there. Anyway, but yeah, I totally recommend it.
Awesome.
And then it collapses down, and
and what's this other
one? This one I just got on Amazon. I haven't tried it yet, and I'm not even sure the brand. I can't remember the brand. Sorry. We'll link to the show notes and the brand, but anyway, it's this is kind of a cool. This one's electric. So the cool thing about Amigo is that no batteries. Doesn't require any batteries. Whereas
no charging. There's no electrical component to it.
Yeah, there's no electrical. You just manually squeeze it. I would pass it around, but
we're good. We can see it.
I gave you one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Use your own.
Okay.
Don't touch my bidet. Anyway, this one is This one's cool because you fill this up with water, so the water goes in here, and then you screw this like this, and then this little arm thing comes up, and then you push the button, and it shoots out. I don't think I put batteries in this one yet.
Cool.
But anyway, it just pumps out the water that's in here to clean yourself, and then you're done.
Seems like it has a better angle than the Amigo.
Well, and the fact that you're not trying to hold it and pump it and aim it all at the same time.
Yeah.
Trying to squeeze it.
Really
you get at least 2 or 3 good squeezes out of this, and then
and then is it out?
You're pretty much
The water's out.
the water's out. Whereas this one, again, I haven't tried it yet. I'll test
Return
it
a report. Yep.
Mhm.
Return a report, but I think it shoots out a steady stream of water, and so probably maybe does a good job. But obviously you need batteries.
Yeah.
And anyway, but then it collapses down to a relatively
Small size.
small size.
Yeah.
Carry bag, important.
Essential. Yeah.
Anyway, so some stuff to
Now,
think
when
about.
you took this, did security stop you? Did they question you what this was?
You traveled
No,
with
they
it?
just said, "What are you drinking?" No,
Want some?
no, I just it's just in my bag. It's plastic. It doesn't call attention to itself.
Yeah.
It
I just
looks
wonder
like a
the
water
same,
bottle.
what like this one, if you might
that
get
was
something.
a little more conspicuous.
This one might, could be anything.
Could be anything.
So anyway, but something to check out, maybe.
Innovative solutions to
if you're on the road,
hygiene.
no bidet. Well, or if you're in your RV and you're
Mm-hmm.
and you did not follow the instructions that
Yeah.
we gave you
Didn't
That's
at
right.
the start of
car
this
wax.
episode.
We're going to get a phone call from Jocelyn down in Mexico. Hey, what was that article again? My
Send
toilet's
it
not
to
working.
me.
We're like, just get your bidet out. You're fine.
Love it.
Anyway,
And,
so
we hope you love it too. Hope that you'll give them a try. Like Darren said, we'll link them in the show notes.
There's a better way to go, folks.
There's a better way
Lots
to go.
of better ways to go.
Lots of better ways to go. Lots of
Yeah.
quality things to try
Just-
that will just improve your life.
yeah, above all, just be clean. All right, clean it up out there.
Clean it up out there. Oh, we're talking to the wrong crowd. We're preaching to the choir.
These guys know.
You're listening
They
to
know.
the ZuLoo Poodcast. You know.
That's right. You're wearing your yellow sweater
That's
right now.
With the stick.
We're all kind of in ZuLoo colors.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Yeah, it
How
looks
about that?
almost
I
like we
didn't
did
even
it on
coordinate
purpose.
that.
That's right.
I'm good.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the ZuLoo Poodcast. Follow us on social media at our links in the show notes below. To learn more, visit our website, ZuLoo.org. If you liked the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For even more ZuLoo fun, send us an email with your toilet stories to podcast@ZuLoo.com for a chance to be featured on the podcast. This episode of the ZuLoo Poodcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water, and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.